Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here. I'm going to be talking to you about my top 10 werewolf movies of all time. Now, werewolf movies, the subgenre itself, it's always been one of my favorites. I remember as a kid, I'd constantly have nightmares of werewolves. Then eventually I'd see movies like, Van Helsing and then the 2010 Wolfman. I was like, okay, they scare the shit out of me, but they're actually pretty fucking cool, too. It's had ups and downs. A lot of people say there aren't as many classics as there should be, which is kind of true to a point. Um, they're not always like the most versatile creature or monster in cinema, but there's something about it. There's something about a really good werewolf story that always sticks with me, and sort of the stories that can surround those types of things. Um, so it's still a really important subgenre for me, and some of my all-time favorite horror movies are werewolf movies. So I definitely want to give my take on that. And to preface a little bit, there's going to be some classics to most people, which just don't really hit the same way for me. It's like we're allowed to like different things or something. It's movies all addressed right away, like The Howling, which I respect to a point. The transformation is fantastic. But other than that, the movie just does not click with me the way it does with other people. Then there's a movie like An American Werewolf in London, which again, I can respect the transformation scene. I really dig it. Don't care for the werewolf itself as much. And then the beats itself just don't really stand out for me amongst all the others. Uh, but this is my list, not yours. Give me yours in the comments. I'm sure there'll be some ones here that aren't on other people's lists, and I absolutely love that because we all kind of get something out of different things. So yeah, it'd be pretty boring if we all just kind of had the same answer. But yeah, let's get into it. I'll give a few honorable mentions first, and get into the top 10. And well, not technically a movie, I'd still be remiss with myself if I did not mention the Goosebumps episode two-parter, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. This is always my favorite Goosebumps story, and I watched this constantly on TV when I was a kid. I read the book. I always loved the TV live-action version, though. Young Brendan Fletcher, who's a constant in the horror genre, plays Grady. For a TV movie, it's one of the more solid werewolf movies I've seen, which is something. It constantly airing like Cartoon Network and stuff like that. Yet it had, especially for young me, like decently kind of suspenseful, like a decently suspenseful like sense of dread. The acting was decent, for again a TV Goosebumps special. But yeah, The Cursed is one that just came out a few years ago. Went by another title, Eight for Silver, which is a much better title. I like this one. It had a lot of promise. The delivery of the final form of it all is a bit hit or miss, but you have Boyd Holbrook, Kelly Riley in here. Definitely one to look at. Similar to Werewolf Fever Swamp, this is another TV thing. Well, it's actually a TV movie, though, legitimately not just an episode. Grew up loving Victoria Justice, so this is kind of a fun thing for me to watch when it premiered. Another one I want to talk about is Wolves, Lucas Till, Jason Momoa. There's just a really nice fun factor to this one. That I always dug. It's fun. The cast I think is pretty enjoyable. And my final honorable mention that I can think of is Bad Moon. This one involves a dog named Thor protecting a mom and her son. Um, the werewolf design I think is solid. The effects of it are decent. Um, and then you even have Ken Kersinger who on play Jason, Freddy versus Jason, actually in the werewolf suit itself, which is always a good thing for me. And kicking off my top 10 is an imperfect movie to me. It's Red Riding Hood. It has like a definitely a YA type of setup to it. Amanda Seyfried is fantastic in the movie, though, as Gary Oldman is sort of like this witch, except werewolf hunter. Comes in notorious into the town, does different tests or something to kind of sift out the werewolf. The YA part is a bit awkward. The actors involved with that are kind of hit or miss, but Seyfried is great. I love the Crystal Vision song that plays at the end of the movie. And the werewolf itself is interesting, an okay mix of like fantasy and supernatural and such. Some might not like it, but I love the setting of it and the production and everything. So it does make up for it a bit for me to at least make the list. And coming in at number 9 is a movie that's pretty popular to shit on right now, but I actually thought it was pretty good. Not perfect, mind you, but the simplicity is something it excels in. I really appreciate when a film does that. Essentially, one location I love, the forest, I'm a sucker for. It's a very easy premise. I think Christopher Abbott does a really nice, kind of subdued job in like classic Wolfman tradition, playing on just enough nuance with the character to engage it. The wife is a hit or miss, but the acting is good. And the design is different. I prefer this on just another carbon copy of something else that came before. And I don't know, I like the touches and the impression I got from it. It is a new classic to me, to a point. 8 is Neil Marshall's Dog Soldiers. The design is not my favorite, the big wolf heads and everything, but I like the lankiness of them. And again, just like that secluded setting works so well for a werewolf movie. You have like Sean Pertwee and Liam Cunningham in here. And it's a really great ramp of like action and tension. Coming in at number 7 is Howl. It's another British werewolf film. It takes place mostly on a train that gets stuck in the middle of the woods. Another one that Sean Pertwee has at least a bit part in. I just like the tension that comes from all of that. The cast is pretty lively. The characters have like a dark humor to some of the proceedings, which is pretty memorable. And the werewolf design is it can be a bit much from the CG side of the effects of it, but otherwise it looks pretty good. And again, kind of like a good blend of that supernatural fantasy side, which does lean more into the horror side of it in this case. 6 is going to be Late Phases with Nick D'Amici, who I absolutely love for his work on Stakeland. He's a writer on occasion too. He is an old grizzled veteran with a bad relationship with his son. So it takes place mostly at this retirement community, actually, which is kind of unique. He kind of just lives alone with his dog and everything, and these grisly murders start occurring, and it leads to, it has really nice, kind of slow burn tension to it, and a really, really great, violent, just like adrenaline fueled finale that I think ends perfectly. And number 5 is going to be Wolf with Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, and James Spader. This one is really overlooked, man. I love it's a perfect blend of, it's a perfect balance of Wolfman for me. Nicholson does a good job, Pfeiffer too, Spader's a good asshole. The makeup is great. I love the finale. It leans more into camp in that, but the fight and the brutality of that climax is awesome. The length is appropriate, and I think it was a really 90s classic, a real gem. Number 4 is Underworld Rise of the Lycans. I debated which Underworld movie because I love the first two as well. But those are kind of more vampire movies per se, I'd say, even though they're based on war. But this one is a definitive like werewolf film at its front and center. The protagonist is a werewolf and such. The origins of the the Lycan War and everything like that. Michael Sheen and everything, Aruna Mitra. Just the scale of it and kind of the period setting really, really helped it. Kind of cheating a bit with this. I'm putting 2 Ginger Snaps movies together into one entry. Forgive me, but I'm doing it because this one and the prequel go hand in hand to me. This first one about these sisters obsessed with death, pondering, kind of their lives and everything. Of course, one of them is bitten, slowly turns into a werewolf. Absolutely iconic performance from Catherine Isabel, one of my all-time favorite actresses. She's one of the greatest in the genre as far as I'm concerned. Emily Perkins' acting is a little bit different, but she's great in the finale especially as well. The werewolf design is different, not my favorite, but the story around it really makes up for it. Just the macabre feel of it, kind of the dark humor to it, it really, really stuck with me, and I absolutely adore it to this day. The prequel I like just as much, if not more. 2 isn't bad either. It's a decent sequel, but this one definitely deserves to be on this list. This prequel here, again, the period setting just doing so well with these sorts of stories. The direction and kind of the conclusion of it I find a little bit more unique as well. It has to do with like the ancestry of the the bloodline of the werewolves that we see in the first film. You have genre actor like J.R. Bourne in here. I mean, come on. And number 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time, although not fully just a werewolf movie. Werewolves are incredibly important to the plot of this one. Van Helsing, I always love this movie. It's more like wolf than man in this, but it's a good compromise for it still. The ferocity of them, how fast they are, the savagery, it's perfectly done with werewolves in this one. Like I said, the plot's pretty original and cool. A really nice blend of all these, universal monsters. And my favorite werewolf movie of all time is the 2010 Wolfman remake. I absolutely love this one. Since it came out, I have a shirt from Hot Topic. Toss up between this and Van Helsing, but this is, of course, more of a true classic Wolfman story. done to perfection, in my opinion, and has yet to be topped. This is the quintessential werewolf movie to me, and I really don't give the bad rap it has. The incredible cast of Blunt, Del Toro, and Hopkins. Man, I love it.